Breaking news: chaos has struck in Chicago. The Bears have just been humiliated in Detroit, and now their defense has suffered a crushing blow that could derail the entire season. One of their top players may be finished for the year, and fans everywhere are asking the same question: is this the breaking point for the Bears? Stay tuned, because what I'm about to tell you changes everything. It's been a whirlwind 36 hours for the Chicago Bears, and the headlines just keep piling up. After that brutal 52-21 loss to the Lions, Overreaction Monday has arrived in full force. And right at the center of it all is star cornerback Jaylon Johnson. Reports are now confirming that Johnson's groin injury, suffered in Detroit, is far more serious than anyone first believed. According to insider Jordan Schultz, surgery is on the table, and that means Johnson could be sidelined for the rest of the regular season. There's a slim chance he makes it back late if Chicago somehow claws its way into contention, but the reality is grim: this defense just lost its anchor. Before we dive deeper into the latest updates, do me a quick favor: hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss breaking Bears news. Alright, let's move on to the latest details. Now here's where it gets even more concerning. At today's press conference, offensive coordinator Ben Johnson was asked directly about Jaylon's condition. He confirmed that this was a new injury, separate from the groin and calf problems that sidelined him earlier this year. That might sound like a good thing at first, but let's be honest, a fresh injury that still needs surgery doesn't exactly inspire hope. The expectation right now is that short-term IR is a lock, meaning Johnson will miss at least 4 weeks. But if we're being realistic, the odds lean heavily toward him being shut down for the entire season. And without him, the Bears' secondary suddenly looks like a glaring weakness. Let's shift the focus to a bright spot in an otherwise dark weekend. Rookie wideout Odunze is proving he's not just hype, he's already becoming the engine of this Bears offense. 3 touchdowns through 2 games, and that's with at least 1 drop and another missed opportunity that could have padded his stats even more. When Caleb Williams looks downfield, it's Rome he trusts. That chemistry is undeniable. The Caleb to Rome connection is quickly turning into the future fans dreamed about when both were drafted in the top 10. Yes, the wins aren't there yet, but if you're looking for a glimpse of what this team could be, it's in that connection. And get this, on his current pace, Odunze would be looking at more than 100 catches, over 1,400 yards, and double-digit touchdowns. Now, 25 touchdowns is fantasy talk, but 90 receptions and 1,200-plus yards? That feels very realistic. And let's be honest, he's already starting to look like the Bears' true WR1, even over DJ Moore. But here's the problem. What's the point of having a breakout star at receiver if your quarterback can't stay clean? This pass rush, or should I say lack of pass rush, is killing the Bears. Against Detroit, it was invisible. Jared Goff had so much time in the pocket he could have ordered a coffee before letting the ball go. Dayo Odunze showed flashes in Week 1, but against a legitimate offensive line? Nothing. Montez Sweat, the guy Chicago paid heavily for, barely made a ripple. And the interior, which was supposed to be a mismatch in Chicago's favor, got manhandled. The Lions had struggled badly against Green Bay's front, but against the Bears, they looked unstoppable. So the real question now is, are we looking at the same old story? A defense that can't pressure the quarterback, leaving the secondary, now without Jaylon Johnson, completely exposed? If something doesn't change fast, it won't matter how many yards Rome racks up. Jared Goff could have sat in a rocking chair back there on Sunday. That's how little pressure the Bears managed to generate. And when you see that kind of lifeless pass rush, it stings even more when news breaks that the Cowboys just signed Jadeveon Clowney for barely over $3 million guaranteed. Let's be honest, Clowney might end up recording more sacks in Dallas than the Bears' entire edge unit combined this season. And remember, he's already missed the first 2 weeks. It doesn't stop there. Did anyone catch Zadarius Smith in his Eagles debut? Just 20 snaps, yet he still finished with 4 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a quarterback hit, and a sack. That's instant impact. Meanwhile, Chicago is still searching for a single defensive lineman who can tilt the field. Now, I'm not saying every one of these guys was a lock to come to Chicago. There are always whispers, character questions, scheme fit, or financial concerns. But when you watch them shine elsewhere while the Bears' defense can't lay a hand on the quarterback, you can't help but wonder, what exactly is the plan here? These roster decisions, or maybe indecisions, are starting to catch up. Because when your defense can't generate pressure, everything else crumbles. The coverage looks worse, the tackling gets exposed, and suddenly the opponent is dictating the entire game. That's where Chicago is right now, stuck in a cycle of what-ifs and missed opportunities. Now let's talk about the offensive line, because that's becoming another storyline fans can't ignore. Should there be concern? Absolutely, but I wouldn't call it full-on panic just yet. There have been flashes of stability, but overall, it's been underwhelming compared to the expectations and the money invested. Darnell Wright has probably been the most reliable piece so far, but even he can't escape the constant false starts that kill drives before they even get going. Jonah Jackson rebounded with a stronger performance this week, while Drew Dalman has looked average at best. That's not exactly what the Bears paid for. Even Joe Thuney, the big-name pickup, hasn't looked like the dominant force we've seen in the past. He's been fine, but just fine isn't enough for the price tag. And then there's Braxton Jones. Strong in the opening quarter against Detroit, only to get manhandled by Aiden Hutchinson as the game wore on. That's the kind of collapse that makes fans shake their heads. The penalties only make things worse. Chicago already has 20 flags in just 2 games, and nearly half of them are tied to the offensive line. False starts, holding calls, even a chop block, all drive killers that stall momentum and put Caleb Williams in impossible situations. Look, this unit isn't a total disaster. It's better than last year, but considering this is one of the most expensive offensive lines in football, just okay isn't good enough. Right now, they're playing like a middle-of-the-pack group, somewhere between 16th and 22nd in the league. That's not what was promised, and it's not what was needed. If this group doesn't elevate soon, it won't matter how much talent is around them. Ryan Poles bet big on this line, and if they don't deliver, people will start questioning whether he once again chose the wrong pieces. Let's shift the conversation to the running game, because right now it's one of the biggest problems dragging this offense down. Simply put, it's not working. Ben Johnson talked about making the ground game a bigger part of the plan and even hinted at giving Kyle Monangai more opportunities. But when Sunday rolled around? Empty promises. Monangai got just a handful of carries, most of them in garbage time. That's not how you build balance, and it's certainly not how you protect a rookie quarterback. The numbers tell the story. Outside of scrambles, the Bears' rushing attack has been flat-out dreadful. Lowest success rate in the entire league through 2 games. That's not just bad, that's historic failure territory. Now, this isn't about saying DeAndre Swift has no role. He can still give you bursts of explosiveness, but he is not and never has been a true bell cow. Swift leaves yards on the field because of limited vision, and 29 carries in 2 games is more like committee usage than a featured back. That's exactly the issue. Chicago knew all offseason they needed a physical runner to pair with him, and yet here we are. No complement, no change of pace, no identity. And it's not like the options aren't there. Monangai is waiting for his shot. Roscoe Johnson is active on game day, yet isn't trusted on 3rd and short? That's baffling. Why carry him at all if you won't use him when the moment screams for power? If this offense is going to work, it has to start on the ground. Without a legitimate running threat, defenses are pinning their ears back, daring Caleb Williams to win behind a shaky offensive line. That's a recipe for disaster. The Bears need to commit to a rotation and soon, or risk burying their rookie quarterback under constant pressure and one-dimensional play calling. Now we come to the toughest question of them all. Is it time for the Bears to move on from Ryan Poles? Right now, I'd say the pressure is building. The truth is, he's had multiple drafts and free agency cycles to put his stamp on this roster, and yet the same cracks keep showing up. The offensive line is still inconsistent. The pass rush is nearly non-existent. And the team is already leaning on rookies to carry the load because so many of his veteran signings have failed to deliver. Yes, the Bears gave him an extension, but let's not pretend that makes him untouchable. Around the league, we've seen GMs extended and then fired within the year when ownership realized the mistake. And if these next 15 games don't show clear growth from young cornerstones like Caleb Williams, Odunze, Darnell Wright, and others, why should Poles get another draft to reset the same mistakes? It's a harsh conversation, but it's one Chicago can't avoid. You can't keep recycling mediocrity just because of sunk costs. And that brings us to Sunday, a showdown with the Dallas Cowboys that already feels like a breaking point. Not because the Super Bowl is on the line, but because history says 0-3 teams almost never recover. Since 1990, only 6 franchises have made the playoffs after that start. Even with today's expanded format, the odds are still stacked against you. This is why Sunday matters so much. Lose to Dallas, and the Bears will be staring down another long season of what-ifs. Win, and at least you keep hope alive, both for the playoff hunt and for this roster's belief in itself. The stakes couldn't be clearer. If the Bears can't find a way past the Cowboys, it won't just be the season hanging by a thread, it might also be the future of the man who built this team.